evening. Welcome to Scizone. This is Bill Shears. Mercury is retrograde right now. That may not mean a lot to you, but I was just talking to Art, one of the people here with me, and mechanical problems, or if you're having some with your television or with your computer or with whatever, it could be attributed to that. It affects a lot of magnetic and a lot of machinery. But something has happened in the Middle East that is different and completely, it may be explained. My guest tonight may have a look at that, but what has happened, I'll update you. There is a cable, an oceanic cable, that's some 25,000 miles long, and it handles the about a third of the population of internet communications throughout the Middle East. And it had a couple of breaks in it. And that's not common, but I guess it could happen. But then it had another break, and then another break. And with that, things get really interesting. Because the first one you can look at and go, well, that can happen. The second one you go, well, that's maybe a major coincidence. But a third one, they're not looking at it like that. They're asking some serious questions about it, and some people are asking, is it terrorist? Is it some cabal trying to do? And what would be the objective of it? Somebody that might be able to shed some light on that, call me this afternoon, Jim Fitzer. Jim is my guest tonight. Jim, are you there, sir?
Pleasure to be on.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. Jim, tell me something. Where did all of when did you find out about this?
Well, this started to break this afternoon, Bill. It's actually not one cable with 4 breaks, but 4 different cables, each of which has a break, and some of them are in the Persian Gulf and others are in the Mediterranean. This cannot be merely a matter of chance.
Is it, do you think, sabotage? And if so...
Well, I think the best guess is something deliberate is going on to isolate Iran, because what basically it's done is to sever internet connections in and out of Iran. Iraq and Israel appear to be functioning fine, but Iran is isolated.
Well, I know India lost about a third of all of its connectivity throughout India. And, you know, they've got a heavy, I'm about to lose my hearing here. They've got a huge internet business going on there, and call centers from all over the world, and are stationed there in India, and apparently they lost all of that.
Well, these are big deals, Bill, and you know the isolation of Iran is especially troubling because in the days before 9/11, the FBI shut down Arab Muslim websites, and those of us who have been studying 9/11 and have been concerned about another false flag attack, where the government attacks itself in order to justify attacks on those it wants to target, in this case Iran, are very worried that the Super Bowl might be targeted tomorrow.
You mean somebody might target the Super Bowl as a result of this cable connection?
Well, no, it's that the cable connection is a sign that may be preparatory for conducting another false flag attack, such as we have discovered was the case on 9/11.
I see.
There have been several other apparent attempts to make additional attacks in the United States that were frustrated because they were identified and discussed on the internet by students of 9/11 and covert operations. Captain Eric May, for example, a former Army intelligence officer, anticipated what appeared to be an attack on Portland. This was not so very long ago. And earlier than that, an apparent attack on Texas City, Texas, where a British petroleum plant is located. And there they had even confirmation by local reporters who saw people driving along Galveston Seawall Boulevard, saw unmarked black trucks, sport utility vehicles bearing government license plate. Crews were setting up what appeared to be satellite or radar gear. They were even so blatant, Bill, they were wearing T-shirts embossed with the words Weapons of Mass Destruction Civil Support Team.
Wow. Jim, stay right there. We got to go to break. We'll take a pause, the action, come right back. And you folks out there might want to jump in. You might have a telephone question. Jim will be here for that. He's going to stick. Jim, stick around with me, will you, sir?
Got it, Bill.
Stay right there. We'll be right back. We're back, and I'm Bill Shears tonight talking about there is a telephone cable. It is a communications cable. It's more than that. My guest, Jim Fitzer, let me see if he's here. Jim, are you there, Jim? We're calling him right now. You'll hear it go. Jim, thank you. Sorry didn't mean to drop you there. Jim, I was just explaining to the audience that they have had a major cable. But you tell me there's more than one cable that has been spliced? Or?
Four different cables have been severed.
All right, let's ask some basic...
And some of them, Bill, one's near Dubai in the Persian Gulf. There's another near Alexandria in Egypt. These are in different oceans. Some are in the Persian Gulf, some are in the Mediterranean. This cannot be an accident.
We've got a map here of it. If we can put that map up, guys. There it is. You see Africa... And you see the Mediterranean. There is Dubai with the X. I'm sorry, Egypt. It is like between Egypt and Israel. It was about 20 miles off the coast of Egypt, or what was it?
Yes, that's right.
And then if we go down to the next one, down Dubai, there was another one there.
That's right.
Now, the cable actually broke, or do we know?
Well, the cable appears to have been severed. Now, they're talking about sending the BBC is talking about how they got a repair ship on the way to repair it, but it's going to take a couple of days. And, of course, that overlaps with the Super Bowl. See, the fear is that Iran would be isolated, not able to communicate what's going on. So it's like, cutting off your enemy's tongue. So he can't actually reach out to the world. So it's a very serious matter from the point of view of Iranian security. Plus, it allows the government to manipulate the situation. I mean, here's one scenario that's making its way around the internet, Bill. This is Sio Bibble, who concludes that a communication disruption can mean only one thing: invasion. On his scenario, American military radio chatter during the game would provide cover for other communications taking place. At 0300, the troops are up, file into the mess to get a cup of coffee, sandwich, watch the game. Meanwhile, an Israeli sub in the Gulf goes to battle station alert. The game starts. The troops go wild. They get pumped with adrenaline and into a combative psych. 10 minutes into the game, a micro nuke goes off in the stadium at the Super Bowl. The aforementioned sub commander gets a signal and launches his surface-to-surface missiles at various Iranian sites and several American ships. The sailors on the ships are stunned to see what they see on the TV screen, he continues. Then the klaxon horn goes off as the American ships start taking hits. The ships go live, the Iranians go live. American sources declare a surprise Iranian attack as 3 American ships sink in the Gulf. The smoldering Super Bowl is blamed on Iran. Mom and apple pie need to be defended. That sounds fantastic, Bill, but these guys brought us 9/11. It wasn't 19 Islamic fundamentalists. It was thanks to individuals like Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, Donald Fife, Paul Wolfowitz, Condoleezza Rice, General Richard Myers, and Rudy Giuliani, with a little help from their friends. There are very many indications that there was outsourcing of a lot of this to Israel, executed by the Mossad.
And let me see if I understand this. There have been some communication cables in the ocean that have been severed.
Yes.
And your sources, or the guy that you just quoted, seems to think that this might be some form of a way of drawing attention away from or to the Super Bowl.
No, it's a prep. It's a preliminary step to isolate Iran prior to an attack on Iran that would be justified by a false flag attack on the Super Bowl.
So we're isolating them so we can have an attack on them.
That's right. We're isolating them so they're kind of helpless. They don't know exactly what's going on. They can't tell other people what's going on. But the FBI did this by shutting down Arab Muslim websites in the days leading up to 9/11.
Well, let's take a look just for a second, if you will. Jim, the average terrorist, quote unquote, whatever that is, doesn't know where these cables are. I mean, that's not the kind of stuff you learn in a mosque.
You're absolutely right.
And if these cables are broke in 4 places, you say?
No, there are 4 cables that are interdicted in one place.
And that's where they broke it?
Yeah, the 4 different cables have been cut, Bill. That's what's necessary to isolate Iran.
So right now, Iran is not online.
Right.
Does not know anything is happening.
Well,
my God, they've got television, though, don't they?
Well, but Bill, it's just that this the internet is just such a huge medium of communication. It's enormous.
Yes.
And, you know, you're talking voluminous communication. I mean, think of the tiny number of channels they have in Iran versus the millions of Internet, you know, communications.
Jim, do you think by going public with this story that it might cause them to pull in their horns?
I would hope so. This has happened several times in the past. Captain Eric May, whom I mentioned before, who publicized his concerns about an attack on Texas City, Texas 2 years ago, seems to have led to that being called off. And more recently, he talked about an apparent attack on Portland that was shaping up. And these usually are done in conjunction with what are supposed to be anti-terrorist drills, Bill. And it looks as though, you know, everything was in place, for example, in Texas City to go nuclear, and it didn't happen. And I think it didn't happen because Captain May had drawn attention to it.
So you think by him bringing attention to this incident will allow Israel perhaps to go ahead and strike Iran?
No, no, no. I would hope that the American people, knowing what's going on,
I see,
that the administration would decide it's too risky to go forward because people are going to understand what's going on.
Well, we're telling them.
Yeah, I just put out a press release from Scholars for 9/11 Truth. And anyone who wants to read about this in detail should go to 911scholars.org and go to the press releases. Okay, 911scholars.org, and go to the press releases, and you read a press release entitled "Intercept Access to Iran Severed. Experts Fear a Super Bowl Attack," and I lay it all out.
Well, I went on the air last night, and I said, look, we talked about this at great length. I said, and even this morning I was called, I had a plethora of calls, people asking about what I was talking about. This internet, in and of itself, just doesn't break. You're not going to have, you've got to have some very sophisticated tools to even find this cable.
Oh, that's right.
Now, we've got plenty of phone calls here. Do you guys want me to take a break now? We'll take a break, Jim. We'll come right back. I'll put you on hold this time, I promise. Jim is on hold. You're online. When somebody hangs up, jump in. We'll put the number up there for you. You got a chance to talk to Jim Fitzer tonight. I'm Bill Boshears. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Back in the Scizone, I'm Bill Boshears. My guest is Jim Fitzer. Jim, can you stick around here and take some phone calls?
Absolutely, Bill.
All right, let's go to Paul first. Paul, you're on the air with Jim Fitzer. Go ahead.
Hey, Bill. Could I just speak freely for a second?
Well, go ahead.
All right. I think you and your friend are a couple of nuts.
Thank you.
Well, we always appreciate hearing from our fans.
Well, you know, they're out there, and they wait around
We
to
appreciate
do that.
hearing from our fans.
Absolutely. Let's go to Dave. Dave, you're on the air with Jim Fitzer.
Hey, guys.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I just wanted to say it's really an honor being on the air with y'all tonight.
That's nice, Dave.
I'm just kidding, really. Hey, I was wondering as far as if you thought it might be the Gungan cities, if they had something to do with this, since you took lines right out of the Star Wars movies. Perhaps we should use the Force or maybe the Jedi Knights to battle this counteract.
I think you're probably right.
Yep. You can always use a Jedi. You can always use a Jedi, Bill.
You can always use a Jedi.
That's
We can
right.
use any of them. Let's go to Sandy. She's probably much sober. Sandy, are you there?
Hi, Bill. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well, ma'am. You're on the air with Jim Fitzer. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say his story's more holes than a piece of Swiss cheese. One thing.
What do you think about
every country in the world has satellites in the air that can detect any kind of motion, any kind of movement, any kind of explosion anywhere in the world. How could they keep it a secret?
What is it that she thinks can't be kept a secret?
What do you think they're trying to keep a secret, Sandy?
Well, all of this invasion and cutting of cables and forces moving.
Well, everybody knows about the cable. What's the probability? This gal's name is what, Bill?
Sandy. Her name is Sandy.
Hey, Sandy, what's the probability of 4 cables going out at the same time?
I have no idea. I'm not a mathematician, but
Do
certainly
you think it's very
I don't
high?
know that to be a fact.
You know, Sandy, are you saying...
It's been reported. Go on Google. Sandy, just go on Google and talk about internet cables cut to Iran, and you're going to get all kinds of reports, Sandy. You can verify it right there for yourself, okay?
That's no way of me verifying anything. You can find anything on Google that you want to.
Oh, my God.
No, Sandy. This includes the reports from the BBC, Sandy. Do you think the BBC is making it up?
I wouldn't trust the press in any country
Okay,
for
good,
anything.
Sandy. That's great.
Well, Sandy, I appreciate your call. Thank you.
We sure do.
Thanks, Bill.
Bye-bye.
Good talking to you.
Thanks.
Let's go to... Hey,
This is just enough complicated, Bill. It's hard for people to get their minds around it.
okay, this is Habib. Go ahead, Habib. You're on the air.
Yes, my country, Iran. I talked to my brother.
You talked to nobody. That's
Please.
you're so fake. I'm sorry. Let's go to Michael. Maybe he's real. Michael, are you there? No. He's not there. Jim, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, sure.
While we get these people, I don't know where they come from. This is the amateur hour tonight.
Well, look, Bill, they haven't studied 9/11. They really don't know what's going on. A lot of these people, I would say, just believe what the government tells them, which is not a wise thing to do.
You know, the other thing, Jim, we showed them a map, and they're probably lost.
Remember what that Miss America candidate?
Yes. Bless her heart. I felt sorry for her. But I'm not going to sit here and be inundated with people that are my finger's too nimble. Well,
let me repeat, Bill, that the case is laid out on 911scholars.org. Go to 911scholars.org and click on press releases at the top of the menu bar. And the very first press release for 2 February 2008, Internet access to Iran severed, experts fear a Super Bowl attack. I mean, I'm not the only one. Captain May is worried about it. Kevin Barrett's worried about it. I'm sure Webster Tarpley is worried about it. They're discussing it on the radio tonight themselves.
There's a lot of people worried about it. And just because you don't know about it doesn't mean it's not there. You can go on the internet. I did this afternoon. I don't know. I didn't do a Google search. I've had people send me the stories. They're all over the place. Let's go to James. James, are you there, sir?
Yes, sir, I am, Mr. Bill.
Go ahead, sir.
Hey, Sandy, I think her problem is she's one of the same people that reelected our current president.
You know, you do have a good point there. And she'll probably vote for Hillary this time.
Well,
no, she's going to vote for Bush again.
Oh, okay.
I've got a question for you, though.
Go ahead,
go ahead, James.
How in the hell did he get elected again when he had a 60% disapproval rating? Now we've got all these people whining and bitching about him, and
James,
he reelected him.
James, he didn't get elected. You got to remember, he stole the election.
They used electronic voting machines, James. There's a huge amount of discussion of it now, including Ohio was a mess. They used dozens of ways to steal the election in Ohio. It's unreal.
Yeah,
There's a book written by Bob Petrakis and others entitled "What Happened in Ohio" that you want to check out if you want to get into it.
There's a bunch of it out there, really.
That'll be interesting to see.
James, take care of yourself. Thanks for the call, brother. Appreciate it. Let's go to Walter. Walter, you're on the air with Jim Fitzer.
Yes, I was confused about the story earlier. I was listening to you and this was some goofy people calling up. Now, this is the cables that was cut by the boat anchor or the terrorist?
Yeah, that allegedly are cut by boat anchors. Well, my presumption would be it's probably U.S. submarines that are cutting them.
Would this be leading to, like, martial law with Bush trying to take over or something?
Well, it's complicated, but, you know, if our concern is right, if this is like the FBI shutting down these Arab Muslim websites a couple days before 9/11, then assume there's a parallel here. The event that would be the obvious one for precipitating an attack on Iran and possibly suspending the Constitution and imposing military rule would be.
I had one more question, though.
A nuke on the Super Bowl.
You was talking about the website, like that Al Jazeera website.
No, I'm not talking about Al.
Well, I mean, you was talking about the websites. If I would look up information on that, would the FBI or the CIA be involved in, like, my computer now? Like, if I would go to there to see what that stuff looks like out of curiosity?
Well, they're surveying, believe me, they're surveying everybody's email already anyway. When they say they're only doing it for those who are communicating with Al-Qaeda, they
what
don't
about
know who's communicating
like if
with
I go to the
Al-Qaeda.
Scizone, which is kind of controversial, which puts the real truth out there? You know, it puts, would they be looking?
I got to give this guy, he's got to be my PR guy. Walter, I appreciate your call. Thank you.
Was I missing something?
Yeah, the guy calls every week. He's my PR person.
Okay, good.
Let's go to Will. Will, you're out there, sir.
Hey, Bill. Yeah, I've researched this 9/11 thing out. You know, I checked into it, and you know Bush's relation into the attacks and everything. And I just want to call and tell everybody that was calling in earlier that it's true. They just got to go look it up.
It's out there, Will. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
No.
Good call, Will. In fact,
good call. Will's the head of it. He's
he's got his head screwed on right.
Will's got it going on. That's what I like.
Bill, if anyone wants a summary, of our findings about 9/11, go to 9/11scholars.org and check out Why Doubt 9/11, which is right at the very top of the menu bar.
All right, let's try Jim. He's been there the longest. Jim, you're there.
Hey, Bill. Thank you very much for having on this excellent guest, Dr. Fetzer. And I got to think you're just being cranked by some of these phone calls. I don't believe the public is stupider about 911 than they were 5 years ago. But I wanted to first, Dr. Fetzer, just so people are clear, because this is new. What you're saying is new to a lot of people. While it's a relatively small group of people, the dark side of the U.S. intelligence agencies, the dark side of the Mossad. I'm sure you're not, and I'm not suggesting that the average person in Israel or the average person in the United States, of course, has anything to do with this. I just want to make that clear, because sometimes people throw
You're absolutely right. That's an impeccable point. I'm glad you made that.
The reason I say that is sometimes people want to throw anti-Semitism around when we're talking about actions that could get hundreds of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in not only Iran but in Israel killed too. Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
Now, I have been worried about now that we have McCain and Hillary apparently being crowned by the computer vote fraud syndicate, as you kind of hinted at. We have 8 months of dreadful, boring campaigning. I've been kind of worried that something like this was going to happen. In other words, if there was something that the average American looked at as a terrorist attack on the United States,
to get their mind off the election.
Well, yes, and not only that, it would completely quell what's probably going to happen, I think, because of McCain and Hillary. There's going to be a growing get-out-of-Iraq movement, because both major party candidates are saying we'll be there for at least 4 years. McCain said 100 years. Hillary said should be there for at least 4 years. And any kind of a terrorist attack, Dr. Fetzer, it seems to me, would cause the average American to be convinced that, one, we had to escalate the war in the Middle East, and two, we had to accept more police state measures here at home, and I wonder what your comments would be on that.
Oh, you're absolutely right. That's exactly right. I mean, Bush's political fortunes are in the toilet. I mean, this is what he needs to make himself look like that strong leader everyone supposed he was after 9/11. And it also is going to give a huge boost to the hawkish candidates. In this case, the most hawkish is John McCain. So you're absolutely correct on both counts.
Okay, well, thanks, Bill, for this show, and thank Dr. Fetzer. I want to thank him for his work. Okay?
We appreciate you, Jim. Thanks a bunch, my friend.
Excellent call.
They're not all that way, Jim. Some of them this guy's got his head screwed. Anyway.
This guy understands what's going on.
He does. He really does. Folks, we're talking tonight, for those of you just joining or haven't turned it on, there have been international cable connections. Internet that one of the cables is 25,000 miles long. It has been severed in the Middle East. It has isolated Iran. And there are some speculations that this could be the isolation that it would take to set up another invasion.
Well, I don't think it'll actually be a physical invasion, but I think bombing or nuking Iran is probably the agenda.
Well, if it doesn't come off, which I hope it doesn't, I pray to God it doesn't, that it doesn't mean you're right, doesn't mean you're wrong, it just says it didn't happen.
Right.
But what has happened is that cable was severed in 4 places. That is not a coincidence.
Bill, it's 4 different cables, each of which was severed. 4 different cables.
That cannot be done by your average terrorist, and I'm sorry.
No,
four
no,
cuts, 4 cables.
Yeah, it's got to be done by, like, American submarines.
Somebody's got to know where they are.
The improbability of this happening by accident at the same time is infinitesimal, Bill. This cannot have happened by chance.
Wow. Do you want me to go to a break now, guys? We'll take a pause in the action. I'll put my Jim on hold here. Jim will be right back. Jim is on hold. We'll be right back after this. Back in the Scizone with Jim Fitzer tonight, taking a look at the Middle East crisis. Their internet connection has been lost. Not 1, but 4 cables have been severed. Looks like somebody's doing some dirty work. Let's go to the phone. Jim, you still there?
I sure am, Bill.
All right, let's go. We'll do this segment here, and you're on the air.
Hi, Bill, Mr. Boshiers, it's your physicist friend.
Hi. Glad to have you.
Good to talk to you. 4 different cables I was looking at on the internet. It's almost impossible for that to be an accident.
Yes.
And I wouldn't just be looking at the fact that they're isolating Iran, but who they're isolating Iran from.
Ah.
Go ahead.
Good point. Good point. Keep going.
Well, the other thing is that, you know, since, I don't know, April of 2006, the United States has been trying to convince people that Iran has nuclear weapons. And there is no way for Iran to have nuclear weapons. They don't have the capability.
I don't, you know what, I wish somebody would tell me what George Bush's point is about that.
These guys are just big liars, Bill. Remember all the lies they told us about Iraq? They figure if we're dumb enough to fall for them, they're dumb enough to fall for them again.
Well, you know, his tenure's over. I've got it right here. His tenure's over in 352 days, 12 hours and 26 minutes. He's done.
That's presuming he's willing to go. He doesn't believe in the Constitution, Bill. He's described it as just a goddamn piece of paper.
Well, that's exactly right. He did do that. That's for fact. And I gotta say, for the people listening that think this is a ruse and that this is some sort of theatrical stunt, I can assure you it is not. Ann?
Well, I can't presuppose what they're talking about, but if you look at the history from my perspective and my work, the United States was chastised by the International Atomic Energy Agency for basically lying about uranium production capabilities in Iran. When you have people like Robert Joseph, who Undersecretary of State for Nonproliferation, standing in front of the world on C-SPAN, telling people that Iran is, you know, within a few years of having a nuclear weapon, and everybody in the nuclear safeguards community knows that it is patently a lie. It's incredible.
Well, it's wonderful we got that national intelligence estimate finally released that showed that Iran suspended its program to develop nuclear weapons back in 2003.
And I want to thank you. You're welcome here anytime. Thank you.
Excellent call.
Excellent. Thank you, dear.
Good night.
Good night. See, I wish they were all like that. Let's go to LaJoy. You're on the air.
Good night.
You're waiting. You're talking. When you get on the line, turn your television off and listen to me. Let's go to Don. Don, you're there.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Doing well, sir. Go ahead.
The apparatus you're talking about, cutting the line on the bottom of an ocean, is not done by a submarine. Being an ex-Navy personnel, I can tell you this. Was it done? Yeah, it was done by 2 converted minesweepers. One on the Pacific coast, one on the East coast. They've been revamped, rededicated, doing one purpose, and that's working on cables under ocean.
Excellent.
No problem for it to cut one.
Very good.
None. And it's done by a long arm that's bendable with a laser torch on the end of it. It's
very, very, very good. Excellent.
So
yeah, that was my speculation by subs. I'm very glad to have that clarification.
They wouldn't use subs that are worth millions and millions of dollars. They'll use a piece of equipment like that nobody pays attention to.
Right.
But you go in the rooms, it's a different thing.
Very
the
good.
apparatus on these boats is unreal.
Smart guy. Smart guy, Bill.
Let me ask you this. Don, have you actually worked on these or done work on them or what?
One that was stationed out in the Philippines. That was our home port.
Uh-huh.
And I was told there was a special salvage rescue ship. which is also a minesweeper.
Sure.
It was ironic that they had to have 8 Marines around that boat all the time when none of the other ships, some were nuclear, you couldn't find any guards around it whatsoever. And I was like, ha, up to your old tricks again.
So they've got 2 of these
Vietnam.
ships?
Don't think it wasn't. I know this for fact.
So you say they've got 2 of these ships now?
One on the Atlantic coast, one on the east, or Atlantic coast, and one on the Pacific. They can be put in any part of the world they want to within a matter of a couple of days.
You wouldn't know if that converted minesweeper is in the Middle East right now, would you?
That I wouldn't know, but I could find out within a week.
That would be good.
If you do, Don, please give me a call, will you?
I'll be glad to, Bill.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Glad you called.
See, that's the kind of, when you start putting out information, people start getting in.
Well, you got a physicist who understands the improbability of having 4 different undersea cables, which are extremely remote, being cut. I mean, those things are laid with the greatest care, Bill. That's a very high sophisticated stuff. That's supposed to last forever.
Let's go to Robin. Quickly, Robin, you're on the air.
Okay, hi. I wanted to ask a question about the 4 cables that have been cut.
Yeah.
The purpose of the cables being cut is to cut to Iran from the rest of the world.
You know what? I can't answer you, Jim. Can you? Is it to keep the rest of the world from her?
Well, I think it's to suspend communication both ways, so that all the sources Iran has of what's going on out there in the world can't get to it, and its information about what it's doing can't get out. I mean, I think it works both ways.
So do you think that the devil Bush has something to do with this?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the...
She said, her question was, do you think Bush had something to do with this?
Well, it doesn't have to be Bush specifically, but yes, I do think that this very evil group in the administration that was involved with 9/11, and it's not necessarily a large group, but it's a very powerful group, would like to have another 9/11 so they can bolster Bush's poll ratings, they can support the more hawkish candidate for president, they can clamp down on civil liberties, they can impose military rule and suspend the Constitution. This may be Bush's ticket to be president for life.
All right, Robin, I appreciate your call. Thank you. We got to move along here, get everybody in here. This is around here. John, you're there, sir. Hello, John.
John, I'm actually on the air.
You're actually on the air.
Oh, I can't believe it. I've been trying to get through to you for a while. I know you're talking about Iran and Bush and politics and things like that. And yeah, I could go on forever about that, so I'm not going to. But I want to talk about global warming real quick. I've got an answer that nobody's ever said before, and it needs to be said. You got a voice, and I don't. You cannot pull trillions of gallons of natural, pure fresh water and just put it in bottles and stick it in a warehouse and think that everything's going to be okay. They wonder why the lakes are drying up. They wonder why everything's going wrong.
John, I appreciate your fever, but I've got to go. I'm up against a break. I got to.
It's a great point. Thanks for calling.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it. Jim, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I'll get to the rest of it. Keep me informed. We'll do it again.
You got it, Bill. My pleasure. Thank you.
Got you. Let's go to break. I'm Bill Boshier. See you right back.
Dig.
We're back in the Scizone. I'm Bill Boshier. Saturday night, every Saturday night here, talking about the strange, unusual. 4 places broken, cables shot. Let's go to Annette's been there the longest, I think. Nope, I'm sorry, Paul has. Let's go to Paul. I didn't mean to do that. We'll get to the rest of you in a second. Paul, you're there, sir. Go ahead.
Hi. I'm glad to see the quality of the calls has increased a little bit earlier on. Well, good thing you got the nimble fingers. Probably from eating all those donuts. Is that it?
Yeah, it's all the donuts.
Yeah, I know. You look like you've had a few.
You sound like you had to. What a brain dead. Yeah, okay. Really, yeah. Oh, you're. Brandon, you're on the air. Brandon?
Yes.
You're on the air, sir. Go ahead.
I had an issue that I just wanted to raise and get your guys' opinion on it as far as the reversal of the American flag on the U.S. troops' uniform is concerned. I noticed that lately in a lot of the new movies that have been coming out, even ones that were set during the Vietnam era, they're depicting the flag as it's reversed, just trying to get us conditioned to believing that it's always been that way. And that only occurred in 2004, where they reversed. They put the stripes on the upper right-hand corner of the flag instead of the left. I was just wondering what you guys thought about that.
I saw that, and I thought it was a misprint or something.
No, that's been on the on the military uniform since 2004, and I've spoken with military personnel who said that they were told that it's supposed to signify progress. It's showing the flag in a motion, moving forward, so the flag's going backwards. But to me, I mean, if you know anything about the the swastika was basically an inversion of the Native American sun symbol, and it was perverted when they flipped it around.
I don't know it. Actually, it's a Buddhist symbol, I'm told. Anyway, Brandon, I'll take a look. If somebody's got an opinion, I'd like to hear about it. I appreciate your call, though, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Let's go to Robert. Robert, you're there.
Hello. My father is a rear admiral.
And Annette, you're on the air. Go ahead, Annette.
Hey, I'm glad. Hello, come to Mama. Well, you gave a great website, and my guy, Kenny the Downloader, he does it and brings it to me, and this was on Rex 84.
Yes.
And on the second page, it says, my brain was going, where have I heard this? Where have I heard this? Operation Cable Splicer and Garden Plot are the two sub-programs.
Yes,
which
they
will
are.
Be doesn't that sound like what's happening?
You got my attention. You're preaching to the choir. Go right ahead.
Well, Congress cannot even review martial law till after 6 months after it's implemented, and that's what dictator Bush has wanted the whole time. I think is to be king, isn't it?
That's what I hear, and the way he swaggers around the White House and around out there and about, he's getting the job done, though. He's such a proud individual.
Oh, I think that lady was right about his grimacing. And is it a frontal lobotomy or a bottle in front of me?
You know what? I have to look. The other night I watched the State of the Union message, and every time there was a pause in his speech, everybody would applaud, and he would look out at the audience, somebody, and wink, or he got this smirk on his face. Like, I did it again, didn't I? I got that whole sentence out. And it was just amazing. I was on the roll laughing at that guy. But, I mean, it's his mannerisms that somehow, when he starts to read, and it goes up around his brain, and it goes out to eat ice cream or something and comes back, and then it comes out, and he's like he's listening to the bells on an ice cream truck or something. And he comes back, and when he finishes his statement, he looks at the audience like, you like that, didn't you? And he kind of smiles. I thought it was hilarious. But Annette, thank you for calling.
Well, thank you, dear.
You got it. Well, there's John. Let's go to John. You're on the air, sir.
Hey, I just called. I'm back. I was talking about the bottled water and the crazy global climate change, and I need to talk to you maybe on your private time to explain that. But you're talking about this anti-Bush and all these different problems. Well, I would like these people that hate Bush so much to answer for themselves, like the 90% approval rating he had after 9/11 when he said he was going to do all these things that he's done, and he did exactly what he said he was going to do, and now everybody turns against him. I'd like people to.
I'll tell you what, you've already called. Why don't you email that in, and we'll have a meeting around it, okay? I appreciate your call, though, John. Let's go to, look, everybody's got a platform. Everybody's looking for their so many minutes. You got it. Let's go to Tony. Tony, you're there.
Hey, Bill. Got a question here. Didn't a report just recently come out that Bush and his staff lied over 900 times to the American public?
That's what's been published.
When's he going to be held accountable? When's
Oh,
when's enough's enough?
By the way, what you don't know is that in one of his executive orders, he slipped in a pardon for himself. Yeah.
Amazing.
He got a pardon. He gave himself a pardon.
Well, what should we think about for tomorrow if, Super Bowl is going to be blown up and whatnot?
I don't know that the Super Bowl will be blown up. I do know that the cable was cut in 4 places.
Right.
And the people that are saying that, it's setting Iraq up, there tends to be some reason for thinking that. Ann, who was kind enough to call in earlier, the probability of this coincidentally happening, and then the guy from the Navy calling in and saying it's an arm on a tether, it goes down and they can do that. Man, I'll tell you, whoever did it was not a novice. They knew what they were doing.
When's American public going to stand up and say enough's enough and get rid of these knuckleheads?
Tony, I wish to God I had an answer for you.
Thanks, man.
I wish I did. Take care. Thank you for the call. Stay safe. We'll go to break and come right back with more of your telephone calls, 381-3800. That's the number to get you in. Join me right here with your thoughts. As we are back in the Scizone, Bill Boshears with you till 12 o'clock. In the remaining moments, we've got callers. Let's go to Gilby first. Gilby, you're on the air.
Hey, Bill. How are you?
Doing well, sir. Thank you.
I wanted to ask you what you thought of Michael Bloomberg as an independent.
He's got enough money, but I don't know if he's got enough money if he wants to spend that kind of money to do it. I'm surprised he hasn't thrown his hat in earlier.
Do you think he would have a decent chance against Hillary or Obama or McCain?
If he would run, I'd like to see if he gets anywhere near. I'd like to see somebody give him a run because I don't want either one of them.
Well, he's got my vote. But did you see that video clip of Obama and
the guy in the taxi or the backseat?
No, Obama and Bloomberg having lunch together that day.
I did not see that. No. I'll
Okay.
take a look, see if I can find it. Appreciate it, Gilby. Thank you.
All right.
The political astute are out there. Marty, you're there. Hello, Marty.
Hello, Bill.
Yes, sir. You're on the air.
I just wanted to ask you, why do you hate Mexican people?
Well, I'm sorry, what?
What do you hate the Mexicans?
Why do I hate Mexicans?
Yeah.
I don't hate Mexicans. Why? I think you're listening to your TV, but while you're listening to your TV, look at me. I don't hate Mexicans. I just don't want people here illegally. Illegals need to go home. Mm-hmm. That's it. Thank you, sir. Robin, you're it for tonight, I think. Robin?
Okay, good evening, Bill. Hey, I want to remind everybody of one thing. Remember the old saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me?
Yeah, Bush has a lot of problem with that.
Oh, yeah. And for your caller, John, who called in a minute ago and was talking about the 90% approval rating after 9/11, just remember, we didn't know what was going on at that point. We were still in the emotion of the minute, and we've become a lot smarter since then.
And John is not aware of what's been happening. John, and a lot of people like John. Whatever they think is fine. I personally am with you. The government has lied so much to the population, to its public, that nobody trusts it. There are a few, like John, and a few people that are following around after Hillary and Obama that will vote for them. And there's nothing I can do about that.
Right.
I think I've stopped trying. We're going to get the kind of government we deserve because America is asleep. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to stand up, Robin, and call it what it is.
That's That's right.
It's a joke and a ruse. Obama won't put his hand on the Bible. He won't raise his hand, won't say the Pledge of Allegiance. Hillary is dirty with dirty money. And the rest of them are the same. Everybody in Washington that is running has something to hide or a price. And it's been repeated over and over again. Blackburn, the one who wanted to be governor or something, they called him today and asked him, or sent him a letter, wanted him to testify about the oddities in the election, and his schedule won't permit it. Well, I can tell you one thing. If his schedule doesn't permit it, once he's been, shall we say, summoned or subpoenaed, he will then.
Right.
And my question is, how much of it will he forget before he goes to question and answer? I don't know. But I do know they stole the election. I didn't give it to them. And I know this to be a truism. They're planning on doing it again.
Oh, without doubt.
So when you and I think we get a chance to vote, we're just fooling ourselves. It really doesn't mean a hill of beans.
Right.
Thank you for being there tonight, Robin. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Bill.
Take care, dear.
Good night.
Good night. We're here every Saturday night. And no, I don't hate Mexicans. I never have. I have some Spanish friends all over the world. I don't hate Mexicans. I dislike people who steal from this country. Take it for what it's worth. Join me here next week. I'll be here. How about you? Right here in the Scizone, WPQC. I'm Bill Boshears. Have a good night.